Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today, I have with me an amazing guest. Her name is Ambika. She's a copywriter from Delhi. And despite her busy schedule, she's taken some time out and to talk to us and share her journey with us. So, first of all, very, very warm welcome, Ambika. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Saloni.
Awesome. So, Ambika, for people who are hearing from you for the very first time, if you could give us a quick introduction.
Okay, so my name is Ambika, and I started off as a copywriter in 2020, but my journey has been a little it's been all over the place actually. I landed on copywriting while I was building my own business.
Mm.
I started a music production school along with my partner, and as a new completely like ignorant business owner, I just did everything like from cold emails to design to literally like cleaning up everything.
Right.
And that is how I got into marketing. I had a knack for psychology, like I was pretty interested in psychology, and I had been writing for a while, but that was mostly for creative purposes. But it was only when my business faced this real cash crunch once COVID hit, and we had to pivot from a brick and mortar business to an online business, is when I got seriously interested in using words to sell. So that's how I landed on copywriting. And my journey as a freelancer started with Hustlepost Academy. That was like my first playground, where I got to know about freelancing as such. And yeah, it's been quite a ride. And I have been working as a freelancer, and all of my clients are international. Uh, I stuck to copywriting because that's what I love. I mostly work with course creators and some SaaS companies as well to help them uh, generate revenue. And everything that I do is focused around conversion. So, yeah, so that's the long and short of what I do.
That's amazing. And you seem to talk from a place of incredible clarity. Like, you
So the clarity has come with experience, but yes, my intentions were very clear from day one. Like I started from a place of empathy because I had started a business. There was nobody to guide me, and we did not like have a lot of funding, etc. It was completely bootstrapped. So at all times, I was very cautious and aware of when I'm working with another business owner, what are the real challenges that I should be solving for them. So that's the only point of clarity I've had from day one. But
right.
yeah, everything else has been like a long process of trial and error.
Got it. Makes sense. And I think I relate to you. Intentions can be very clear from the start, but then, it's almost practically impossible for you to have an end-to-end roadmap of everything you want
Yeah.
to do on day one. You have to like go with the flow and, figure things out. So that's very true. Ambika, you mentioned that you are a copywriter through and through. That's all you do. So a lot of people want to get into this space, but I think there's a lot of misconception or people don't have clarity around exactly what kind of services can they offer as a copywriter. I mean, if for example, let's say I'm a young kid, like let's say I'm 21, I'm just out of college, I've always had a knack for English. English was my favorite subject in school, and I've heard about this thing called copywriting, and I think I can do it, but I don't know what kind of services am I supposed to offer. So what are some of the services that you offer? What are some of your specific offerings as a copywriter?
So there's plenty of services that you can offer, but what I want to make clear from the beginning is that the difference between copywriting and content writing is action and results.
Yeah.
So that's, I think most of the people confuse both of these. And the services that you can offer, you can start with ad copy, you can start with landing pages, there's sales pages, there's emails, there's web copy. So basically each and everything that is supposed to drive a person to take an action is is something that you can offer, and within that you can definitely specialize. So
Got
like for
it.
example, I do sales pages, emails, and web copy. Like that's what I love doing.
Right.
That's what I'm offering right now.
Right, right, got it. And like how, if somebody wants to start learning, how to get started with, let's say, writing web copy, what are some resources that they can rely on? Some reliable free resources that are available where they can at least, start their journey from day one.
Hmm. So I think this question actually has two answers. Like there's two parts to the answer. One is how you look at copy and how you how you understand copy. Like
Mm.
lot of copywriting is persuasion and influence and psychology and also a little bit of empathy. So I think that's one part of your learning. Like how do you assimilate all of these principles into writing? So that's one part. The other part is working on the craft of writing itself, like building the stamina to write more, and then also having an experimenter's mindset. Like if you write, then you get feedback or you get results, and then you reiterate from that. And another part is like going into the specifics of writing specific copy assets, like how do you write web copy, how do you write a sales page, and all of that. um, so as far as resources, there are plenty of resources out there. Um, so initially, like when I started, a lot of it was guesswork. Let me
Right.
be honest. A lot of it was guesswork because see, everyone online says that you ought to research and you ought to find more
Mm.
about your audience, but nobody tells you how.
How? Yeah.
So what I did is I actually got my hands on some of the basic books that are there around copywriting. So like Bob Bly's The
Yes.
Handbook to Writing Copy. Then there's Jeff Walker, who's the pioneer of product launch formula, and he has this book called Launch. Then there's Edward, what's the name? Yeah, it's Robert Cialdini's Influence. So that's one
Yeah.
book that I read. Baron's Letter.
Yeah,
Um,
Balance Letter is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So these are the books that I read because a lot of the advice that I found online was fragmented and I was never able to like frame my mindset about what copywriting is and should be. So I got to the basics. I read the books like cover to cover. That's the first thing that I did. But apart from that, there are specific resources that you will find for specific copy assets. So for example, like Alex Catoni has a lot of courses on emails and sales pages, etc. So you'll realize that you'll have to like go through these layers of resources. Like
Correct.
initially they'll be like superficial and you'll be able to just like get the job done. But the more and more you are trying to optimize for results, wherein you want to reach a point where you can promise results, the deeper and deeper you'll have to go. Like I'll just give you an example. It used to take me forever, I think 100 plus hours to write a sales page. But
Wow.
last year I found this amazing book on how it's called 16 letter sales page by
Mm.
Eduardo. I'm not remembering the name, Eduardo
Mm.
something.
Mm.
Uh, and I applied that book cover to cover, and that sales page actually converted for the first time. So yeah, so I am like a very methodical person that ways.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's one thing. And if you want to go for like some higher level information, some higher level knowledge, then they're pretty much like I think 3 or 4 resources that I follow. Like there's Copy Hackers that I've
Of
recently
course.
enrolled into.
Yeah.
Then there's American Institute of Copywriters, which has a lot of free resources. There's a person named Neville Medhora who has a lot of free resources on how to kind of learn different assets of copy that you can write. So yeah, just run a Google search, you'll find a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, but you've been very generous with sharing a lot of resources. I'm sure there are people out there watching this interview who are making notes. So thank you so much for doing that. I think a big worry that a lot of people have getting started in copywriting is how to find like clients. Like, will I ever get paid? Even if I, for example, really take my time to learn and get better at the art of writing copy, will I find anyone who's willing to pay me? Because there are so many copywriters already in the market who are quite experienced. So that one worry, I think, stops a lot of people from getting started. So what was your journey of getting to your first client?
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Okay, I'll just walk you through the whole process.
Yes, that would be
Like,
awesome.
my first goal, like after I joined Hustlepost Academy, actually, my first goal, because at that time, COVID had really put me in a bad financial situation. So my first goal was to get paid, even if it's a blog, even if it's like social media captions, anything and everything. And I remember that I knew how to dabble with Wix a little bit. So the first thing that came to my mind was that why not, like, let me just show off my writing skills through creating a website of my own.
Right.
I just went ahead and created a website of my own. I designed it myself. I wrote the about page and everything, whatever I could do.
Yeah.
After that, I started with Facebook groups actually,
Mm.
because the intent of the person is pretty clear there. Like people are just
Correct.
willing to hire. So I would just get up and like I have always treated client acquisition like dating.
Yeah.
So I don't take it personally.
Yeah,
At that time, my first goal was to just make my first $100 through writing. So
correct.
I remember the first assignment that I had gotten was through Fiverr. I got myself registered on Fiverr, and I only got 10 gigs, like
Mm.
10, like I did not get beyond 10 gigs. And the first, I got $5 for like my first blog post. That's how I got started. But it
Mm.
was like it was an experiment as to I just wanted to see if this thing works, like if you
Right,
can get
right.
paid online. I had no expectations. So that was the first gig. Then after that, I started going into Facebook groups wherein you people are hiring for content writers, copywriters. And the second gig that I got was from an American legal company which would basically rate legal firms, etc. And I also have a
Right.
background in law, and essentially I didn't have to write anything. They paid me to rewrite articles. They already had articles which they needed to be rewritten in a different way. So that's what I was doing. I was just getting
Yeah,
rewrite stuff,
right.
and that worked for like some 2 months. After that, yes, it was like again a series of applying to Facebook job boards, etc., etc. And one thing that really helped me, which I think a lot of freelancers don't do, is like I don't know if it's applicable to everyone, but just having a website really helped, because
Yeah, it does.
I didn't have to pitch over and over again. I would just
Right.
simply put the link of my website, and then the rest was done. And all the help that I got from Hustlepost about, how to create a proposal. And I was like, I like design. So I would just like invest a lot of time into that. So that's how it started. After that I moved to LinkedIn, because
Mm.
Instagram seemed to be like, for me it was like a low ROI activity,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
LinkedIn kind of made me feel that people are coming there with the mindset of working. So
Correct.
it's easier to find jobs or gigs, etc.
Right.
And then one year into the whole journey, I got hired by an agency wherein I was just doing like a lot of blog writing. It was a
Right.
drag, but at
Hmm.
that time my goal was to get consistent income.
Right.
So yeah. So then after that, that's how it's been. Yeah.
Right. So I think, when you mentioned that you mostly work with international clients now on copy projects, that's you 4 years into the journey. That wasn't the case from day one.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to start with easier things that you can achieve. For example, in your case, that was, let's say, blog writing or, paraphrasing certain things, etc. So it's I think the one lesson that I would recommend our viewers to take back from this is, you may not get exactly what you want on day one, but you have to kind of be on the path to getting that. So for example, if you want to get to copy and you're getting a content gig, take it. Like, start with what you get right now, and eventually at least have a strategy to get to copy eventually. Keep working, creating a lot of samples. Like Ambika mentioned, her website, I think, created a lot of authority for you, right? The moment somebody sees a well-made website, sees a lot of, like, let's say, blog articles or, authority building content on that website, they immediately associate you as a premium freelancer, and you differentiate yourself from a lot of people. And yes, there is a lot of competition in freelancing, but there are only a handful of people who are doing really high quality work. So if you can position yourself as one of those who are doing high quality work, then work kind of finds you.
Yeah.
And
I would actually also like to add something here. So there was a time when I just ran this as an experiment, and there are a lot of groups on Facebook, Referent Connect and business
yes.
groups. So I made a couple of posts wherein I just I really wanted to write a sales page, like I
Hmm.
really wanted to. So I offered to do it for free, and I said that I will work with anybody who's willing to give me a chance, and I'll do it in exchange of a testimonial, but it has to be a sales page. And I
Mhm.
got 3 clients from there.
Oh, wow.
And they ended up paying me, they ended up becoming paid clients, but it was a
Yeah.
very, very good strategy to get your foot in the door. So I
Right.
think one should not have any qualms about doing free work at the beginning. It really gives
Yeah.
you experience, and it's good to have something in your portfolio.
Exactly. And my one thing that I always recommend people in HP also is that if you're just starting out, it's okay if you to offer a free service. Just make sure that you really give them an amazing service in that free experience, so that A, they come back, and B, also they bring more people, right? So that low risk offer essentially opens more doors for you. So if you really think about it, you're not really doing it for free, but you're doing it to, get your foot into the door, which is so important.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree with this. Amika, one thing I want to know is that you you mentioned that you come from a law background, right?
Yeah.
And you are now in copywriting. So there are a lot of people who've put years training for something very specific. Let's say we have a lot of doctors in HPA, we have a lot of dentists, lawyers, chartered accountants, UPSC students. These are people who've put their blood, sweat, tears, everything into getting to a point which is considered a very well respected position in our society. But somehow they get disillusioned once they reach that place, and they feel like, okay, this wasn't I didn't have the clarity, I didn't want this is not something that works for me. And they are looking to kind of reset and rebuild their life in a completely new space altogether. You've done that for yourself multiple times over. So do you have some tips for people who are in a
Oh
phase
yes.
like
Oh yes. My my journey has been quite a roller coaster. I am a licensed lawyer. My background is in law. But I really was never curious about law. It was mostly because my parents wouldn't let me study arts. After that, I was also, so I qualified for combined defense services. My all India rank was 2, so I was in the
Wow.
army. I was set to become an army officer, and I quit that because again, it was just not something I could see myself doing long term. After that, again, the societal pressure of now you've quit something so big, it has to be, whatever you do has to be bigger than that. So
Right.
I gave like two years to UPSC prep. That didn't work out.
Wow.
That did not work out. After that, I just realized that the only thing I've been doing since I was a kid is writing, and that's what I enjoy. So I just got over myself and I really wanted to get independent. So I got a job as a content writer. And this is in 2017. And I was getting paid like just 25K. That was the amount of money I was getting paid. But yeah, I just felt that, there's no growth. I'm not being challenged. And I don't know how content or writing particularly works in a business. Like, I don't know the whole picture. And I'm very curious by nature. And at that time, I met my current, my husband, at the moment. And we just decided to give, business a try. So we started a business. We just started a music school. And that's how I got into this whole entrepreneurship. And it was only when I was like pushed to the edge, and whatever I was writing or whatever I was doing needed to make money. It was only then I was forced to think on a big picture scale.
Yeah.
My advice to you would be, like, I know that it feels that you've put in a lot of effort. Like, I have a 5-year law degree, and then I gave like 2 years to army, then 2 years to UPSC. But just understand that none of it is going to go, like, it's not going to go waste.
Yeah.
It might feel like, we have to be like very clear of what we want from a career. Many people decide to stay back in a career because it is socially well respected, but
Right.
they don't get the feeling of, thrill, or they don't get the feeling of a challenge while they're working. And for me, uh, like, I get bored very easily. I have
Yeah.
ADD.
I
So
relate. Yeah.
I cannot stay back in a job just because, it is socially well respected. And to this day, if you Google my name, if you just type in Ambika Bhan, you will see I have this like long ass article about why I quit the Indian Army despite getting an All India rank too. But it's mostly just follow your curiosity, because if you want to do something for the next 40 years, 30 years, you need to be supremely curious about it. And if you want to excel at something, then you need to be happy doing it day in
Yeah.
and day out. And so just don't take it personally. At the end of the day, everyone just wants to, like, see you make money, including your family, your parents. So if that is the problem that you're solving and optimizing for, I think sooner or later you'll reach there. So that's my
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, no, that is amazing advice, and it's amazing of you to also share your journey so candidly. One thing that you mentioned really struck a chord with me, which is you gave 2 years to UPSC, and this was right after cracking
Yeah.
rank 2 in your CDS exams and not making it to through UPSC, right? And UPSC has it's just such a competitive exam that luck plays such a major factor in it, that you may be the absolute best person for that
Yeah.
job, but because there are 10 lakh other people competing for what about 1,000 seats, it's it's a numbers game, right? There's a major luck factor that comes in. And I think there are a lot of people who reach out to us in HPA who are in that journey where they've probably given UPSC exams too many times. They're not seeing the results, and they feel like they've kind of wasted a major part of their youth preparing for an exam and not seeing any results come out of it. And they come in to HPA at a very low point in their life where they're like,
Oh,
I feel so lost, I don't know what to do. They've kind of uh, I feel like what an exam like this also does is it strips people away of their confidence
Oh
level.
yes, I really want to chip in with that. Like I have friends who've been doing this for 5 years, 6 years. I did it for 2 years, and I realized you have to see if your personality matches with the whole
Mm,
preparation. Like I'm someone who's very impatient by nature,
mm,
right? So I need to see results fast, and if that
yeah.
is not happening for me, then it's like I was depressed at the time, and
Ah,
even I was at a very bad state, especially because I'd quit army and I was in the academy. Like I was just set to become an officer. So
yeah.
it was like it was a complete mess. It was a complete mess. My advice to you would be that look at the bright side of the picture. Somebody who has the stamina to study for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, knows that they can put in the work that is required in a business or in a freelance business to succeed. And most people don't have that kind of attention.
Most people don't have that,
Yeah,
honestly. Like, I think the biggest USP that USP aspirants, UPSC aspirants have is that ability to put in the rigor that is
the
required.
resilience. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, I could never. Like, I can't even imagine preparing for that exam, forget sitting for it.
Yeah, yeah. The preparation itself is what's supposed to change you. So I
Yeah.
know that we fixate a lot on results, but I still like emphasize and tell everyone that preparing for UPSC itself taught me how to study and how to optimize things for maximum productivity and retention and resilience and attention span and all of that. You don't see the we don't as a society we are so fixated on results. We don't see the
The
intangible
process.
results that we
Yeah,
get. The
yeah.
process, the process changes you. So like please celebrate that. That's my
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this message will resonate with I don't know how many people, because every day I have somebody, especially around the results time, we have a lot of people who reach out to us,
Wow.
tell us that, oh, it didn't work out for us once again. What do I do now? I feel so lost. So yeah, I think this message is going to be very helpful. One last thing, Ambika, that I want to talk about here is a lot of people are concerned about copywriting being a full-time career. Yes, people understand that, oh, I can make a certain amount of money. Maybe it could be a solid side hustle, but is it actually possible for people to make like a good full-time income to sustain themselves and their family with freelancing in copywriting or in any other niche?
Yeah, I think it is perfectly doable. Depends on what's the amount of money, that
Yeah.
you feel like that you feel is suitable for you. So like in my case, like for example, I reverse engineered the numbers. Like I felt that I know you see a lot of stories on LinkedIn, on Instagram, that hey, I made 1 lakh within 1 month,
Mm.
etc. And at the time I started, I can't tell you how many times I've had these rant sessions with my peers in the HPA,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're just discussing people's numbers and the money that they're making. It's so easy to get carried away by that, but you have to have some anchor, as in like for me, I kept reminding myself that I'm doing this for the long haul.
Mm.
Even after 10 years, I want to be in this business, and this is exactly what I want to do. I don't want to be known as anything else other than a copywriter, and I want to be extremely good at what I do. It's not like a promotion game for me. So
Yeah.
if you're that crazy about something, because I see there are two kinds of people. People get into freelancing to make money, but they
Mm.
don't think it as a career.
Yeah.
They just think it as
It's
like
a way to
something.
make money, like quick money, or it'll be
Yeah,
like an easy route for me to
yeah,
like see some
exactly.
results.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the path for disaster.
Yeah.
That's the path for disaster, because you have to think of it like long term. If you're going to get into design, then you have to think of how to be like in the top 1% of designers. And that may mean that at some point of time, you are leaving freelancing and you're taking up a full-time job. But if that means that you get the headspace or the bank balance to kind of stretch your legs, learn, then do that. You
Yeah.
don't have to get stuck with it. So like in my case, for example, 1.5 years into freelancing, I remember I got this gig, I got this client who, like very low maintenance. All I had to do was I just had to rewrite 20 pages of their website. And
Mm.
this was an institute in London which was funded by the royals. So it was
Mm.
like traditional in the sense, and not something that I would get by actively pitching. They were just looking for somebody. I was there at the right time. They hired me. They paid me $2,500 to just rewrite the web copy, which was crazy for me at that point of
Yeah.
time. So for 2 months after I did that job, my benchmark kind of became like 2,500. But then I
Yeah.
soon realized that it was like a one-time thing. I didn't have a
Yeah.
strategy behind it, so it's not going to work. So I need to kind of like retrace my steps.
Right.
So what I did is I set like a I set like a monthly target. Like this is the amount of money which would make me comfortably happy, you know.
Yeah.
And then I just calculated the number of hours that I can put into work. And you also have to be very careful to factor in your upskilling time.
Yes.
So say for
Yes.
example, if you can work 8 hours a day, like realistically speaking, 8 to 10 hours a day, then you have to factor in that out of those 8 hours, if you put in 2 hours for upskilling, you're not going to get paid for that. So
Correct.
that means your 6 hours need to cover up this cost,
Correct.
right? It also needs to cover up the cost of your vacation or holidays or sick
Yeah.
days, all of
Yeah.
that. So that means per hour you need to make like X amount of money. So do the maths,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then factor that into your pricing.
Right.
And then also be prepared that those prices may not be matched by the client. So you will need
Correct.
to adjust a little till the time your portfolio is not strong. But yeah, sorry, what was the question?
No, I think the question was around this, whether people can make realistic income with
Yes.
freelancing alone. Yeah.
Yes. And then, right. So after, so once you've decided on this number, and once you're clear on how many clients do I need to fulfill this number, then you be like strategic in pitching or reaching out to people.
Correct.
Even like, for example, I'll after like 2 years of being in freelancing, like around 2022, I realized that I want to do this seriously. I
Mm.
don't want to, I don't have a lot of time to spend on continuous pitching. I
Right.
cannot create content on Instagram. So what's my best bet? So
Mm.
let's just find out jobs,
Mm.
related to copywriting. I even took up a full-time job in Gurgaon,
Wow.
but I quit it because I didn't want to like travel. I didn't want to be there in
Mm.
person. Anyways, what happened is that I went to LinkedIn and I optimized my profile. I just changed my location from India to London,
Mm.
some
Yeah.
US. Job board started kind of showing me jobs from that particular section, and I started applying to full-time jobs
Yeah.
because I just wanted to be in a team. I just wanted to
Correct.
know how it works, how teams work, because you have to understand that in freelancing it can become very lonely, and
Yes,
you
it is.
don't understand the context in which your copy is supposed to work.
Correct.
So let me be honest, like for 2 years I was with that agency. I
Mm.
considered it a freelance position. They considered it a full-time employment.
Right.
But you don't owe anything to anyone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whatever makes you feel comfortable. And I was very clear that I need this static income because
Mm.
there are major life transitions happening. Plus, I
Right.
need to have some buffer money to like invest in upskilling, invest in myself. So
Right.
I just said yes to it. And honestly, I did not write copy in the job. I just
Oh.
wrote blogs, and most of those blogs, it was a content mill, and they
Mm.
expected
Mm.
me to just like churn
Turn out a lot of
every
content.
day,
Yeah.
every day, every day. They were okay with me using AI, but hey, a woman's got to do what she's got to do.
Yeah,
So
of course.
yeah, so I think people should be like more honest about this online. I really wish that we were like
Yeah.
more
Yeah. That's
transparent.
exactly. And I think that's the whole agenda behind me doing this as well, because, we see a lot of very, polished stories on, oh, like, oh, I only work with high ticket clients, or I only charge this and I only offer this service. And yes, it's great that you've reached that point in your career, but I am sure your journey to that point
Yeah.
wasn't a straight line.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like even now, let me just like tell you how it's going now. Like even now, in addition to that agency, it's a crazy story. Like how I have a retainer client, okay,
Hmm.
that pays me 2,500, USD a month. And like most people would be supremely uncomfortable doing anything which is outside of their comfort zone. Like for
Yeah.
example, if like people will say that, hey, I am only a copywriter, so I'm not going to like get into funnels, or I'm not going to do X, Y, Z. But
Yeah.
with this client, I resonated with the work they were doing. He's a coach.
Hmm.
He's a coach and a professor at Cambridge. I really loved the work he was doing. I am super interested in psychology, so I offered him. It was also an experiment for me. Like I wanted to see through. I wanted to see the results of my copy, and
Yeah.
it's very rare that a client gives you like a back end insight.
Inside.
You
Yeah.
know, and I was just so desperate to get that I agreed to do everything. Like I told him I'll do design also. I just need access to everything on the back end.
Yeah.
And at the time, this is in July 2023, is when I onboarded him. And of course, he was not able to pay me what I charged for, but he agreed to give me like a profit share.
Hmm.
And since then I optimized his funnel. I did the website copy. I even did some LinkedIn posts for him. Recently we did a launch, like a seed launch. In fact, that was my first launch. And
Wow.
I didn't have any idea of how to do launch. I
Yeah.
just applied Jeff Walker's book to the team.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
was so surprised that the launch did good. Like in 5 days, we did 16 to 18K in revenue with just
Wow.
2,000 people.
Yeah.
But this is your
Great.
risk-taking capacity. Like, how much are you willing to learn on the go? And another advice that I have is like, don't wait for everything to come to you. Just put yourself out there and then figure it out. Like
Yeah.
everything is figure outable. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I very strongly resonate with this because again, there's a lot of like, senior freelancers in the market who share like a lot of international ones, even Indian ones, senior freelancers who tend to have this opinion that, oh, you should only, take up projects that pay you so much for your time and, all of that. And yes, you generally should have boundaries. Otherwise, you will be taken for a ride by, clients whose intention is literally to kind of exploit you. But having said that, it's okay sometimes if you really resonate with a client, if you really resonate with a project, to work on interesting models, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a fixed pay. Like, for example, you worked on a profit sharing model because you resonated so strongly with that client, with that project. And a brand name like Cambridge getting attached to you is always going to stay with you as a freelancer, is always going to differentiate you
Yeah,
from other
yeah,
freelancers.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think a lot of freelancers don't understand that you have to put yourself in a position where you make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because it's only with mistakes you're going to
Yeah.
actually learn. If
Yeah.
you're not getting your copy tested, if it's not getting out there in the world,
Yeah.
if you're not measuring the numbers, then it's all fluff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like the reason I did it, I said yes to, and it's been 1 year. The client is super nice. He has never held up a payment. He is a breeze to work with. He does
Mm.
not believe in sales as much. He's like not a marketing freak.
Yeah.
He's a good person to work with. And that is also a factor, which a
Yes,
lot of
and it's
freelancers
a
don't
huge
understand.
factor. I mean, chasing high ticket clients is one thing, chasing amazing clients who give you the
Yeah.
peace of mind to experiment and try different things and work is that I feel is a bigger victory. Whenever I work with clients, if I had a high ticket project that kind of drained me on a different level versus a project that was paying me okay, but like gave me a lot of peace of mind to experiment, I kind of grew there a lot
Yeah.
more as a freelancer as well
Yeah,
because I got to
absolutely.
experiment. Yeah.
Absolutely. I spoke to a couple of senior copywriters as well. And like this is the advice that a lot of copywriters told me, like, don't fret so much about numbers, and
Hmm.
don't wait for your copy to show results before you charge the big bucks. But honestly, like ethically, it just did not make
It
sense.
doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just does not make sense to me, because you'll never have the confidence to project yourself as an expert when you're not one, when you've not made the mistakes, when you don't know where it's going to like get screwed up.
Yeah.
And that philosophy just did not resonate with me. I remember like a lot of my peers said that, why are you doing all of this work? But it was only because, I have been at a place where, business is not making money, and everyone that you hire is becoming a drain on you. And
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to like personally be in a position where I'm able to confidently say that something I wrote made money. And
Yeah.
it, and
And I
also,
think that kind of boosts copywriters' confidence more than anything else, in the world. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
That's
yes.
awesome. Thank you so much for being so candid and sharing all of this experience. One quick last question. Freelancing is freelancing kind of doesn't give you the stable income that a full-time job does, right? For example, if you take up a job, there's a fixed salary. That's what you get every month, full stop. But in freelancing, of course, there are going to be some months where you make a lot of money and then some months where you don't make,
Yeah.
your expected number, you don't hit that mark. Even a couple of years into the journey, this kind of instability sort of stays with you. It's not going to be the same number. And coming as people who come from middle class families where our parents kind of had a stable job and a fixed salary was always is something that's appreciated a lot in this society. So getting comfortable with the mindset of seeing that income roller coaster, a little bit of instability, it's challenging. So how do you deal with that?
So like a couple of things, I think it comes with a lot of practice. Number one, number two, there's also like something called a person's personal risk appetite. Like
Yeah.
if there's someone who is used to, having that money at the end of the month, then it's going to be a little difficult for
Yeah.
that. What would actually help is that you kind of factor in the bare minimum amount of money that you need like every month to sail through, and then like multiply it by 3, and then keep that like as your emergency fund.
Right.
And whenever you have like feast months, you have a lot of money, put that into savings, or put like invest that. That's one good thing to do. And also understand that you don't need to, like, I'm still in that mindset where, I'm very particular that I don't want to equate my worth with the amount of money I'm making every
Exactly.
month.
Yes.
Because see, because what if you are, you're working like a donkey and you have 10 clients who are paying you like 10K, and yes, you're making a lakh, but at what cost?
Yeah.
It's always better to have one client who may be paying you 80K. So
Yeah.
these are the other parameters that you have to factor in. So it's always like a big picture thing. And to just give you an example, like from my present like life, how it's going. Like for example, I just left the agency that I was working with because I realized that a lot of the work is monotonous. Even if I'm
Yeah.
getting paid like $1,000, $1,500 every month, it's static.
Hmm.
But I have some risk appetite. I have saved up. I don't need to do this. And I've just gotten myself enrolled in Copy Hackers. So it's
Amazing.
like taking a it's like doing a master's degree. So it's taking a
Yeah.
lot of my time.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm not going to measure my worth from the amount of money I make this month, because I know that for the next couple of months, it's going to be like I'm putting in some time in upskilling. So you always have to see the big picture, and you
Correct.
also have to stop like believing everything that you read online.
Yes, please. Yes. Oh my God. Not every person who says, first of all, the number six figure is so vague, because like some people call themselves a six-figure freelancer if they make a lakh in a year. If they
Yeah,
make a lakh in a month, it's 100,000 USD in a year. It's 100,000 USD in profits. It's 100,000 USD every. You don't know what they mean when they, use when they say they are a six-figure freelancer. And if you start comparing your journey, then, it's like comparison
exactly,
is
exactly.
literally the worst thing you can do to yourself in the
Yeah,
freelancing
yeah.
world.
And
Like
I
it's
think
very,
people fail to question that, okay, if someone is making X amount of money, then how many hours are they putting in? Like,
yeah,
I was very clear that I don't want to work beyond a certain number of hours
yeah,
for
yeah.
like someone else.
True. And also, like, what phase of life are they in? For example, let's say a 22-year-old with barely any
Yeah,
responsibilities, staying with parents, can have a lot of time to focus on just their work because they have that freedom. Versus a new mother can't. So like
exactly.
people are in completely different phases of life, and that
Exactly.
comparison again is quite harmful.
It's still like, and also people like don't people don't ask, like freelancers do not ask that when someone says a six figure, is it six figure in revenue, is it six figure in profit,
Profit,
how
is
many
it INR, is
subcontractors
it
they have?
USD?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Ambika. This was an amazing conversation. I'm sure a lot of beginner freelancers got a very real insight into what it takes to reach a point where you've reached right now. So thank you once again for sharing your experience with us. Thank you everyone for watching. Ambika's LinkedIn is in the description box below. Make sure you check her out. Her content is amazing. I'm sure you'll learn a lot from her content as well. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Saloni. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You've been like such a pivotal person in my journey, and I've always felt so inspired by your warmth.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Truly means a lot. Thank you, everyone.